It's wonderful to be here, and I am so pleased. The last time I addressed this club was 1994, and Paul Turley was the guy that brought me in to speak to the club, and I was just really in the beginning stages of talking about how valuable sports psychology is and the value of some of the things that I've been doing. It started for me looking for a restroom. I used to play basketball in pickup games at Carlson Gymnasium, and I needed to go real bad, and I went upstairs, and I'm wandering up and down the hall, and there's no bathroom, and I wander into this place that has treadmills and balloons and a hot tub with a scale on it, and this voice comes out from the back of the room, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" So when I peeled myself off of the ceiling and I turned around and I looked at this silver-haired guy, and I was meeting for the first time Dr. Art Dickinson, who ran the Human Performance Laboratory at the University of Colorado, and he turned out being a very valuable mentor for me for the next 20 years. I worked at the Human Performance Laboratory in their community fitness program, doing stress evaluations with firefighters, policemen, all faculty members at the university, anybody that was wanting to go through, and they would do a screening for cardiac fitness and the determination of trying to prevent heart disease, and particularly heart attack. Through my work there, Art Dickinson introduced me to Mark Wetmore, who was the coach at the track and field for CU. Actually, Jerry Quiller before him, Mark Simpson, whose wife Valerie is a member of this club. Mark was the golf coach at CU, and I started working with a smattering of athletes at the University of Colorado, and the things that I would do for them, number one was just help them manage their stress load better. If you can imagine the tension and the trauma leading up to that kind of venue, valuable to look at. The work that I do with athletes are focused on performance skills training. Now, stress management is just a small part of that, but controlling arousal, being able to keep your focus at whatever your optimal level of arousal is. For some people, they need to be amped up. For other people, they need to calm down. It depends on that individual as to how well they're going to be able to perform. Self-talk and confidence is another key issue, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of what these athletes have been through and how they had to deal with their own self-talk and their confidence, and whether that was suiting them well or not. Goal setting is a significant component to it. A lot of people think that outcome goals are golden. That's the way. My goal is to make an Olympic team, that's really going to be the determining factor for if I wake up every morning and I see make that Olympic team, that's going to be a driver for me. Well, it may be a driver, but I'm far more a proponent of process goals. Those things that we need to be concentrating on in the moment, in the minute, in the hour, in each day at a time. Those process goals ultimately have as a byproduct the success and the outcomes that people are looking to drive for. Mental toughness is huge. We'll be talking a little bit about the difference between being tough and being stupid. And then we're going to be talking, there's things about imagery and visualization, managing emotions. How many times have you seen somebody lose their composure in a competition? Severe penalties may ensue from that, and their team loses as a result of their not being able to manage their composure. Dealing with mistakes and setbacks and injuries are all a significant part of this work. So let's get to it without any further ado, and we'll have some Q&A, and we're going to talk to Adam and Kara.
Yep, I think we started, I met Dr. Walker while I was at the University of Colorado, still as an athlete, but we really, I think, started focusing on my racing and training and preparation once I graduated and became running professionally. It was a process that was invaluable for me, even though I had much success throughout my career.
Success. He won 4 NCAA championships running at the University of Colorado. He was also the featured runner in Chris Lear's book, Running with the Buffaloes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd done pretty good. I mean, yeah, so, but there's always room for improvement, and every athlete, no matter where you are in your career and how good you've been, you have moments of doubt, you have moments of insecurity, and so in comes a specialist like Dr. Walker to help me gain that edge from a mental standpoint. So it was pretty invaluable for me to, once I started working with him, it really helped me hone in my competitiveness and race preparation.
And so when I first started working with Dr. Walker, we didn't even talk about sports. We just talked about working through some things from my childhood. And then when I was able to deal with that kind of stuff that I had been carrying around for years, then I was able to start really focusing on my running again. So, but then it parlayed into working towards sports, because once I was able to deal with some stuff from my youth, then I was able to focus back on my running again.
So when you look at the challenges that you've individually had, Adam, what's been the biggest challenge that you've experienced in sport and running professionally?
My biggest challenge, without a doubt, was just staying healthy. I was constantly fighting some sort of injury, not for the majority of my career. It's in order to be successful and pretty much at any sport, you have to have the consistency, be able to put in the miles, put in the work without interruptions. And so an injury that might knock you out for a week or it might knock you out for a month, that really slows things down, slows your progress down. And so, but anyway, fast forward race, I didn't accept that. I just said, hey, I'm going to run as smart as I can. I went out last and worked my way up gradually throughout the race. And, you know, when I hit that mode of, okay, I'm going to make the team, but I'm not going to just sit back and make the team. I got to give it my all. And what you saw there literally was 100%. I can look back now, is pretty much 99% mind over body, because there was no way that I was physically ready to do what I did there. And it really messed my world up. Like, it's awesome. It's a great thing. I made the Olympic team. Amazing, right? But it set me up for a lot of other issues throughout the years and throughout my career. And I went into chronic fatigue right after that. So I had like 6 weeks or 8 weeks before the Olympics. And I would go out for a run out on Bobolink here, the trail over here, and I'd be running as slow as I could run, 9 minutes a mile, and my heart rate would be like 185, which is like not redlining, but like that's where I'm racing basically. But I was running so slow, I was pretty messed up. So that took a long time to get over. But anyway, yeah.
You know, one comment I would like to make, because one thing about athletes is that they are people first.
I've had 9 surgeries in my career. So, I mean, I did race at the Olympic trials, the same Olympic trials. I placed 7th in the 5,000, and I was still in college. So I was really happy with that, to be honest. I was really proud, but I was very happy for Adam, but also envious. You know, he was having this huge dream come true that I also had, and I was so happy for him, but there was like a little bit of like, oh man, I wish I was going with him.
So what's been your biggest challenge in sport?
I've had a hard time staying healthy as well. But for me, it's always been my confidence. I will talk myself out of anything. I will have like an amazing workout, amazing race, and then it gets to the important race, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm a fake, I'm a phony, I'm just lucky, I'm from Duluth, Minnesota, who like, I don't belong here, you know, like I don't belong with this USA on my chest. And so that's always been my biggest battle.
All right, talk a little bit about how we address that.
Therapy?
Specifically, what did we do?
So one thing that's been really helpful for me is that Dr. Walker had me start a confidence journal. And so it kind of every night I write in my training log, and I have for years since I was in high school. And so I write what I did for the day and how I felt. But Dr. Walker made me write something positive about that day, even if it was like bombed out of the workout, threw up 3 times, but finished my cool down, you know, still got my mileage in. So like trying to find something positive with every day. And for me, it's been really a really useful tool, because as it gets closer to the Olympic trials or a really big race, I start this mental chatter of like, you're just from Minnesota, you don't even belong here, you grew up on rice and meat, you know, and spam, you know, like all these things. And then I can flip through that journal, and it helps me remember, like, I've done the work, I do belong to be here, I do belong my chance. I belong to have my chance. I deserve to have my chance.
Okay, fabulous. Now, what we don't have a video of Kara in her World Championships in the 2007 Games in Osaka, but she finished on the podium in those World Championships. How big a thrill was that?
Thank you. It changed my life. It changed our lives. I mean, I went from being Adam's wife and someone who also ran to being on the cover of magazines, actually getting paid and getting to race anywhere I wanted, getting my own hotel room. Like our lives changed overnight with that one race.
Okay. Now, coming up is a book that Kara has crafted called Courage, that's going to be published on Blue Arts Press. And a lot of what that book is about is confidence and building confidence and doing the things that you need to do in order to do it one day at a time, so that it's not something that you're trying to go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. So those things are really kind of a key. Now, one of the things that I want to ask, what has been your biggest thrill in sport?
Tough one. Excuse me. I think the 2 biggest things that happened in my career, I kind of have to say the 2 biggest things: making the Olympic team in 2000 because of what I fought through to make it there. And before that, when I won the NCAA cross country title in 1998, that was 4 years in the making. As a freshman in 94, I finished second at the championships, and 3 seconds behind 5th-year senior Martin Kino. If you know anything about running, Kip Kino was his father. He was Olympic gold medalist in the Mexico Olympics. So he was running for the University of Arizona. But anyway, so it was like, at that point, it was like, oh, I'm ready. Like, I'm gonna win all these titles. It's gonna be great. And then reality sets in. The struggles of life and the things that kind of hold you back, and ups and downs. And so that process of going through the year, the following year I had a knee issue. The year after that, I redshirted, and I had a surgery. And then year after that, I was ready to go. And the day we left for nationals, I woke up with the worst sore throat I had almost ever had, congestion. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And it went in, and I finished 4th, which is great. But so going in, it was my last race of my career. I was graduating in December. So it was that was pretty much it. And I pulled it off. Yeah. So.
You also won the 5,000.
I did, but that was
championship.
That was before. That was in the summer, or the track season.
Okay.
Before.
You.
I would say probably 2. One would be running my first half marathon. I ran 66:57, which still stands as the fastest debut any woman in the world has ever run.
Say that again.
66:57. And I beat Paula Radcliffe by a minute, who was, she's won world championships and she's the world record holder. And so it was just kind of a surreal moment. But I think the biggest thrill for me was in 2012. We had left that kind of toxic situation, I was coming off of an injury, and the Olympic marathon trials were in January. And I was coming off of a stress fracture, and I only started running 8 weeks before. And it was down to the wire, like, would I even be able to run a marathon, let alone a good one? And I ended up placing third and making that team. And at that time, we had our son. And it was just, that's probably the most meaningful race of my life, because I did it with my family, not in that environment anymore. And yeah, I got to go to London, so it was cool.
So, a question that I want to ask is there one thing that you can recommend for any athlete that's going to be competing in South Korea?
One thing?
One thing.
The one thing is I can offer to anybody, especially an Olympic athlete, it's just trust the work that you put in, trust what you've done, and believe in yourself and your preparation. So trust in the preparation and the work. Yeah,
I would echo a similar sentiment. You know, in 2007, I won a medal at the World Championships. A year later, I was a medal favorite in Beijing at the Olympics, and I totally tanked because I had just built it up so much, and all the things that made me successful, I let them go. You know, I didn't spend time with my family before the race, and I closed myself off, and all those things that made me happy and made me who I was to be successful, I kind of changed them and let it become bigger than it needed to be. At the end of the day, I was still just running 10,000 meters, but I turned it into something so much bigger than that. So I would just say, really just concentrate on, you know what you're doing, you've done it a million times, and just try to, everything around you, there'll be cameras and there's so much going on around you, but just try to remember, like, this is what you do, and don't let it escape you. Don't let it become bigger than it is.
Routines.
Yeah.
That's awesome.